my 70-year-old father and my 27-year-old best friend of 14 years fucking.
I watched that 10-part story, so you don't have to. That's Tamia, and she's telling us that she caught her 70-year-old father and her best friend hooking up. She said her and her best friend have known each other for 14 years. She told us that her best friend is actually a stud. Her and her bestie spent so much time together that her parents actually thought that Tamia was also gay. They were like, there's no way, you're just lying to us. And she's like, no, literally, I'm straight, and that's just my best friend. The friendship is so deep to the point that when Bestie went through some rough patches, Tamia was able to actually ask her parents if she can stay with them for a little bit while she got back on her feet. Where Tamia was staying, it wasn't possible for Bestie to come and stay with her. So what ended up happening was that Bestie moved in with her parents. And so she stayed there for quite a while, up until the point that even Tamia ended up moving back in with her parents. And so they really were together 24/7. Now, Tamia's mother is disabled and she stays at home. And so all this happened under that roof while the mother was home that day. Everybody was under the impression on July 28th that Tamia was going to be off work at 11. She ended up getting off work early. She has a really loud car. The mufflers, the music, like you can hear her coming down the street, she said. So she pulled up to her house and she went to go open the door. There's two doors. She opened the first one. The second one was already open. She walks in and she looks to the left and she sees her father performing fellatio on her bestie. And she's just like, what the hell? She's such a very calm person. So she said in a very calm manner, she was like, what are you guys even doing right now? And Bestie just looks over and she's like, oh, Tamia's here now. And the father, I guess, I don't know if he stopped. I don't know what happened. Tamia's sitting there like, did you want me to see this? Before Tamia got home, she had made sure to go pick up food because she found out when she called her mother that she hadn't ate all day. So she grabbed the food and she walked straight to her mother's room. She didn't say anything to the mother. She just sat on the bed with her mom, and her mom's asking her, like, how was your day? Tamia can't even talk. She's so distraught at what she just saw. She just gets back up and she walks back into the living room. When she gets there, her bestie is gone. Only her father's sitting there and he's trying to explain himself. And she's like, what is there to explain? I saw everything I needed to see. She just walks past him and she goes outside and she calls her brother. He lives about 500 miles away, but she was like, it's okay. He's still my safe space. She tells him, I'm about to go beat up my best friend's ass. And he's like, what happened? Da-da-da. She tells him what she saw. And the brother's like, oh yeah, definitely go ahead and handle that. She walks back into the house and she goes straight back to her mom's room. Her mom can tell that something's wrong. So she's asking her, like, what's wrong? Tamia's not really saying anything. She just tells her, I'm going to go beat up my bestie's ass. Her mom obviously tries to stop her, tries to calm her down. When it doesn't work, the mother basically says, just be safe. So at this point, Tamia starts calling the best friend and being like, where are you? I want to beat you up. And the best friend is not picking up. She's calling, nothing's happening. So she ends up calling her cousin and then telling her cousin what she saw. The best friend ends up calling back. She lets it ring once or twice and she hangs up before Tamia even gets a chance to pick it up. So when Tamia and her best friend finally get on the phone, the best friend's basically saying, like, you're not trying to listen to what I have to say. Your dad came on to me. I was feeling really uncomfortable. He kept feeding me alcohol and other substances. Like, I did not want to do it. I felt really uncomfortable. And Tamia is sitting there like, uncomfortable? How is that possible? You've offered to give my dad rides to work back and forth. You lived with them before. Where did all of a sudden you being uncomfortable with my father become a thing? Basically, the best friend was trying to say that the dad forced himself onto her. And then Tamia told her, like, why didn't you just get up and go? Like, why did you continue to stay there? You said you went to go drop him off. Why did you go inside? Okay, it was to pee. Why did you stay? I found you on the couch, you know? So she's not really believing what the best friend is trying to tell her. At this point, Tamia and her best friend were still sharing their location. So when the best friend refused to tell her where she was, she just started driving to her, right? So she's driving. But at one point, she started aimlessly driving. She stopped paying attention. She missed a turn. And before she knew it, she had no idea where she was. So she tries to go look up the location again. And the best friend has stopped sharing the location. So she's like, damn, what am I going to do now? So her brother actually ends up calling back and being like, hey, I cussed your best friend out. I told her off, da-da-da-da. And she's like, okay, bet. Like, did you happen to see where she was at? And he's like, yeah, I saw that she was somewhere that was like a green gas station. And Tamia's like, I know exactly where that is, right by her house. So then Tamia called her best friend's own sister and told her sister everything that she did. And the sister was like, yeah, I don't blame you. I would have tried to fight her as well. And Tamia also wanted the sister to know, like, me and my best friend's relationship is forever over, but me and you are good. So then when Tamia finally found her at the gas station, she pulled up on her. She was definitely drunk and they just started going at it. And all the best friend is saying is like, I can't believe you're taking his side. I can't believe you're taking his side. And Tamia's like, there is no sides. You guys are both in the wrong. He's wrong for touching you and coming on to you. You're wrong for not leaving when you said you were uncomfortable. And so things are escalating at the gas station. And so they decide, like, hey, neither of us want to get arrested. Let's go somewhere else. So they end up going to a park in front of the best friend's house. The best friend just kept saying, your dad made me feel uncomfortable. And Tamia's like, when have you ever told me that? You never told me this. And she's like, I have told you. I have told you. She's like, no, you haven't. And so they're just going back and forth at this point. That, mind you, there's other people at the park. So then the best friend's like, you know, I have social anxiety. You know, it really hinders me and my social abilities. And, you know, Tamia is like vouching, like, yes, she definitely has really bad anxiety. But like, what does that have to do with you not leaving because you felt uncomfortable? Basically told her, like, our friendship is over. I want nothing to do with you, da-da-da. And then the best friend's just like, I can't believe our friendship is going to end over something like this. And so she finally gets back home, and her dad is on the phone getting cussed out by her older brother, and she's like, whatever. She walks into her mom's room, and her mom is obviously worried. She's like, what is going on? And Tamia like turns her back to her, and she's crying, and she doesn't want to say anything, and she's just like, trying to figure out the word. The whole time the dad and the brother are in the other room arguing, right? Somehow the brother manages to convince the father to come into the room and tell the mother exactly what happened. So the dad walks in, he looks at the wife, and he basically says, yeah, Tamia's best friend was giving me head. And Tamia's standing there like, that is not what I saw. I saw the exact opposite. Why are you lying right now? So now Tamia's thinking, my bestie does not give men head, let alone on the first time. So if you're saying that she's gave you head, this cannot be the first time you guys have been hooking up. This has been happening for a while. Now, Tamia expressed to us that her mom has everything that she needs by her bed. So her mom ends up picking up the mop that's right by her bed, and she starts smacking the dad in the head with it. The dad just walks out. He walks back in, and he acts like nothing's wrong. So at this point, Tamia looks at him, and she starts going off at him. And she explains to us that she's the daddy's girl. He went this low and betrayed her and like literally made her feel like, who is this man? She said at this point she doesn't know what to say to the father. She definitely doesn't know what to say to the best friend. I think the father said something to her along the lines of like, how long are you going to be mad? And she said, what do you mean how long? As long as I want to, as long as I need to. It would have been better for you to go and pay a schmech worker than for you to, go and be with my best friend. Like, that's so weird. So she's so disappointed in them. So she posts this story time, and then her best friend ends up texting her, right? She said her best friend hasn't texted her since the whole thing happened. And she texted her and said, wow, you're going to make a story time about me. You know me and your father did not. Because the story time says like, they did the do, and she's like, me and your father did not do the do. What do I look like, being with a 70-year-old man? And basically in the text messages they're going back and forth, and the best friend just keeps saying like, I always told you your dad made me feel uncomfortable. She's like, no, you told me men made you feel uncomfortable. You didn't say anything about my father and what happened to all those times that you were living with us, right? Over the course of the text messages, not only does the best friend end up admitting that did happen, he did give her, fellatio, whatever it's called for the girl, but it's not called that. He did give her that. And then the best friend tried to do a story time and basically accused Tamia of being with her over the years, off and on, and basically being bisexual. And Tamia went and called her while she was live one day, and she basically got her to admit that was a lie. Like, Tamia's always been straight. Like, she told her parents, and she had told us in the beginning of the story time. If you guys want to see what else happens or see any of the receipts, feel free to go to Tamia's page. You guys tagged me in this a bunch. I wanted to make sure I got it out to you guys. Thank you guys so much for sending me all the hairstylist recommendations. I was able to get my hair done. I absolutely love it, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. You guys made my birthday so special. If there's one last thing that I can request, it would be for you guys to go run up my YT. You already know I've been really working hard to make sure I build that up and have somewhere else to call home, depending on what TikTok's future looks like. So if you guys can do me one last birthday wish, run up my YT. Here's the information. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.
Am I the asshole if I call off my engagement because of a comment my fiance made about my late wife? For some background info, I, 43 male, have 2 children with my late wife, Kayla. Sam, 21 male, and Liz, 16 female. Kayla passed away when our kids were 15 and 10. I won't give specifics about how she passed, but she was struck by a drunk driver when she was on her way home from work. She really was the love of my life, and to say that her passing hit our family hard would be an understatement. I promised myself that if I got back into the dating game, I wouldn't date anyone for at least a couple of years for the sake of my kids. 3 years after my wife's passing, I met my now fiance. We'll call her Amanda. Things went slow, and I didn't introduce her to my kids until we had been dating for about a year at that point. Now we've been together for 3 years and are engaged. Amanda and my kids have always had a good relationship. Neither of my kids are super close to her, but they've always been friendly and welcoming to her. And Amanda has never overstepped any boundaries my kids have, like trying to replace their mother. At the beginning of Amanda and I's relationship, she was a bit insecure of the fact that I was a widower. During the first few months of us dating, she would constantly ask things like, if Kayla had never passed, would I still be with her right now? I always kept my answers brief and told her that I didn't like thinking about the what-ifs, and that she was the one I was dating now, and that was what mattered. Eventually, she stopped making these comments, and I stopped worrying about it. Now on to the issue. My parents were hosting a family dinner to celebrate my fiancé and I's engagement. It was my mom and dad, my late wife's sister and her husband, Sam and Liz, and me and Amanda. Dinner was going well. We were all making small talk with each other and talked about wedding plans. About halfway into dinner, my mom made a comment about how she was so happy I was able to find the spark I had with Kayla in someone else. I don't think anybody really paid much attention to the comment, but then Amanda laughed and said, quote, "I'm happy she died. Otherwise, I would have never have gotten him to myself." The tone of the dinner immediately shifted, and everyone got extremely tense, especially my kids. Amanda noticed the shift and started awkwardly laughing like she was trying to play off her comment as a joke. I was honestly just frozen, as that was the first time she had ever made a comment like that. My kids looked disgusted, and Liz got up and walked out to her car. Sam waited a bit longer, like he wanted me to say something, but I was still in shock about what Amanda had said. To make a long story about the dinner short, the dinner was kind of ruined. So I said my goodbyes to everyone, grabbed my fiance, and we all drove home. My daughter hasn't spoken to me or Amanda since, and it's been 3 days. I got tired of it and pulled my son aside to ask him what I should do. He said something along the lines of, quote, "I'm a grown man and don't care who another grown man marries, but I don't want a woman who speaks like that about our mother around my sister." Sam's comment stuck with me, and now I'm considering calling off the engagement entirely. She's never made comments like this before, but I'm worried if I let it slide this one time, it will become more frequent, and it will affect my daughter. I need some advice from outside perspectives and just want to do right by my kids. Would I be the asshole if I called off the engagement because of the comments she made?